Hello and welcome. Thank you for spending some time with us today as we discuss today's CRM for oil and gas user group topic, navigation, leads, and opportunities. My name is Jean Degner, and I am the account manager for all of our CRM for oil and gas customers here at Ledgeview Partners, a business and technology consulting company where we focus on transforming business one relationship at a time that is through our sales, customer service, marketing, and CRM consulting services. In today's CRM for Oil and Gas User Group webinar, Steve Rybrock will take a deep dive into how to navigate around CRM more efficiently and effectively and get more from the leads and opportunity functionalities within your CRM for oil and gas in order to help you manage and grow your business, as well as provide you with some updates on future enhancements and answer some user submitted questions. If that all sounds good to you, then you're in the right place at the right time and on the right webinar. We do have a lot to cover today, but before I introduce our presenter, I have a couple of quick housekeeping items to cover. First, I want to mention that today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email with a link to access the presentation on demand. We encourage you to share this with others in your company and your network. To be sure that you have no trouble receiving this email, please add ledgeviewpartners.com to your saved senders list. To ensure the best audio quality, we have everyone on listen-only mode, but if you do have a question, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll be sure to follow up with you afterwards. Now, let me introduce our presenter for today. Steve Rybrock is a CRM product consultant and managing consultant with Ledgeview Partners and knows how lubricant and fuel marketers use CRM better than anyone I have met. Steve manages all of our CRM for oil and gas implementations and gets to know each and every lubricant and fuel marketer very, very well. Through his years of experience, he's also the expert on how oil and gas distributors can gain the most efficiency and sales productivity through a technology like CRM. And today, Steve is going to show us how that's done. Steve, thank you for joining us today, and I'll let you take it over from here.
Okay, thanks, Jean. I will jump right into the agenda. So main agenda item here, as Jean mentioned, we're going to talk about navigation, we're going to talk about leads, and we're going to talk about opportunities. So that's the main topic for today. I don't have like a full day to do this, so I will cover as much as I possibly can in about 30, maybe 35, 40 minutes, and we'll see what we have left to cover the rest of the agenda. So a couple other things we want to talk about is just some resources that are right in your CRM to help with some of the challenges that were submitted when you all registered. I think there's not only this webinar is going to help, but I'll point you to some resources that can help you afterwards as well. We'll take a minute or so and just talk about the enhancements that are showing up in our roadmap. So we've got some exciting releases coming up this year. I just want to get you up to speed on where we're at with those. There were a couple of submitted questions. I've got some slides with those questions and answers, and I might try to answer them while I'm writing CRM, if I remember. There were some biggest challenges mentioned. I'll summarize those and give you my thoughts on how we can address those. And then I'll turn it back over to Jean for some more resources, our referral program, and then we'll wrap things up. So that, I don't know. I mean, we scheduled an hour. I don't think we're going to take that long today, but we'll see how it goes. So let's rock and roll. So yeah, our agenda, pretty easy here. Navigation, leads, opportunities. I'm going to jump into CRM and cover all that in a moment. But before I jump in, I mentioned some resources that might help you. So if in CRM, for those of you who didn't know, there are videos, all kinds of videos that can help you. So if you go into CRM, and I'm going to show you how to navigate, right? That's part of the training today. So if you don't know how to do that, it's okay. You'll learn that in a few minutes. But in the workplace area, there's a section for videos. And two videos that I think really nail almost this topic that we're covering today, like right on the head, is video 101 is all about CRM navigation. So that video is almost exactly what I'm going to cover today. So if you want to view that video, right, it's just a YouTube video, so you can pause it, advance it, practice some things, go back to the video. And then video 110 is all about the sales process. And the sales process really is how you start out with a lead, qualify that lead, and turn it into an opportunity and work that opportunity through the sales process. So we're gonna cover that in today's training. But again, there's a nice video right available for you right in CRM. All right. So let's flip over to CRM and get started. See if I can find my CRM. Okay. So first topic, navigation. So what many of you have probably heard from me in the past, and for you new folks, you'll hear it more and more, is this. I've logged into CRM, and what I tell folks is this bar up on top, on mine it's a very dark bar, I'll call it like the black bar. I call it the navigation bar, and this is your friend. This really helps you navigate where you want to go, and it also tells you where you are. So in our system, I mean, you can use the back button in your browser if you want, and I use that once in a while. But basically, with this navigation bar, you can just think like, okay, where do I want to go? Like, what do I want to do? And you can just boom, 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 and get there. It's not like you have to go back to go forward someplace else. You can just go wherever you want to go. So let's practice a couple things. So right now, I'm in Dynamics 365. That's the fancy name for your CRM. Nothing really fancy about this. I'm in this workplace area, and I'm looking at dashboards. And these just happen to be some dashboards in the system. But look what happens if I click this arrow next to workplace. If I click this arrow, it shows the main modules that are in the system. And because I was in workplace, you see workplace, this box is a little bit larger. It's actually showing me all the things I can do in that module. I can look at dashboards, run some reports, look at activities. Hey, check out some of those videos. So that's how easy it is to get to the videos. And I could just kind of jump into that right now. I'll jump into videos. And it is just a video playlist. So it looks like, well, where are all the videos? Well, they're behind these three little lines here. So if you click these three little lines, it shows all the different videos that we have in the system. So we kind of give it a number, we give it a name, and then we even tell you how long you're going to have to invest. So here's one all about a specific dashboard. 9 minutes, you'll learn all about dashboard 97. So here's that that video 101, CRM navigation. So 19 minutes learning all about navigation. So that's videos, and guess what? You'll notice up in the navigation bar, I'm in workplace and videos. A minute ago, I was in workplace and dashboards. So remember I said it helps you get to where you want to be, and it also tells you where you are. So now I'm going to go back and click this little arrow again, and I'll pick the sales module, because most of you will spend about 90+% of your time in sales and the other 5 or 10% in workplace. Many of these other modules you won't even use. So I'm going to click on sales, and these are all the things I can do in sales. A lot of these things are some of the out-of-the-box functionality that we really don't even use in our system. So what we tried to do is put the things you use the most over on the left, things like opportunities, accounts, contacts, leads, those types of things. So as an example, I could go into accounts, and I'll take a look at this navigation bar. I'm in sales now, I'm not in workplace, and I'm in accounts. So if I wanted to navigate someplace else, right, hit this little arrow, pick either workplace or sales, and then pick what I want to do. So it's really that simple. I think one of the reasons Microsoft designed it this way is simply to save real estate. Instead of using up all the room on the screen with all the different things you could do, they kind of hid them behind here. And at first it seems like, geez, it'd be so much easier if they just have that in front of me. I could see everything. But once you kind of figure out how easy it is, you'll appreciate the fact that you have more room on your screen to actually move around. Okay, so I think I'm just going to kind of stop right here because I have a lot of data in my accounts file. So I'm in sales, I'm in accounts, and now I'm just looking at a list of accounts. And different lists in CRM really are called views. And depending on your CRM access, your security role, you might have access to different data. So right now I'm looking at my active accounts. So these are the accounts in CRM where I'm the owner. So these are mine. But if I had access to other people's accounts, maybe I had access to all the accounts, or somebody was sharing their accounts with me, I could change the view by hitting this little arrow. So you're gonna see little arrows all the time that kind of give you options behind what you're looking at. So these are all the different views. So right now I'm looking at my active accounts. Another view is called active accounts. So that doesn't narrow it down just to mine. That's just all the accounts that are considered active in the system. And when you look at this list, we actually added another column, like who's the owner. So I will see some of my accounts on this list, but I'm seeing a lot of other people's accounts, not just mine. So those are views. Again, this is just basic navigation training. So I wanted to show you views. If you're looking at a pretty long list and maybe you have a couple hundred accounts, if you want to narrow it down quickly, right now this list is sorted alphabetically by name. I can just click any of the letters down here in the alphabet, let's say G, and it'll just narrow the list down to all my accounts that start with G. So if you have maybe not too long of a list, this might be a quick way to find what you're looking for. I can always go back to all. So that's one way to kind of navigate around. I can also click on any of these column headings and it'll sort it by that column. So I could just click on owner, and now it's just sorting this list alphabetically by owner. So it's just obviously Brad, and then Chris, and then on and on and on. I could go back and click account name, and it would then sort this by account name again. If I clicked it a second time, it just flips it from ascending to descending. So now I'm going to get it in order by name, but the bottom of the alphabet first. Pretty simple stuff there. Last thing I wanted to point out, and I'm actually going to, well, let's do it here first. So if I'm on a list of accounts, one other box I want to show you is this search box. This is probably what you'll use quite a bit rather than some of the other stuff I showed you. If you're looking for a specific account, you'll probably come in here and just type in the first few letters of their name and hit the enter key, and it'll go and search for any account that has FAIRV, starting in the name, let's say. It also searches address and city and phone number, but it really depends on what you type in here. And then I could just open up this account. I could just see where I kind of hover over it. It turns into a blue bar. If I click anywhere on this blue bar, it then just opens up that account. So that's one way to go to accounts. You can view the data. You can do searches, and now I've just accessed this account. So I want to spend a little bit more time now navigating just within an account. But I wanted to show you one other cool feature, and I'm going to back up and really get out of accounts here. So I'm going to go back to workplace and let's say dashboards as an example. It doesn't really matter, but it doesn't matter where I'm at in CRM. This navigation bar I said is your friend. There's what we call global search on this line on CRM. So I don't have to necessarily go to accounts and do the search. If I just want to go find an account, I can hit global search and type in that same thing and hit enter. And now it's going to search the main 4 or 5 entities in the system, like accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads, looking for FAIRV. And so it's a different look and feel, but ultimately I've gotten to this. Now I can just click on Fairview Manufacturing, and I've opened up this account. And guess what? You're seeing the navigation kind of change as I'm doing this. So now I'm in sales, I'm in accounts, and I'm looking at Fairview Manufacturing. All right. So now, what can I do if I'm on an account? Lots of cool stuff. So I usually spend a lot of time training on navigation on the account screen because that's where so much work starts. So I'm on the account. I'm just going to kind of scroll down a little bit and show you some of the cool stuff besides address information, some basic stuff. If this account happens to be a customer tied to your back office, you're going to see a lot of locks on some of the fields because this data is driven from your accounting system. So things like credit rating, credit limit, payment terms. And if you're not using these, that's okay in your system. Some of these might be blank. Optionally, some of our customers send some dollar figures over to CRM. Again, your CRM might not be configured this way, but some of our customers actually send like the customer's balance and how much is current and how much is past due on a nightly basis. That could come over to CRM and you would see it right here. As I scroll down a little bit further, there's kind of a neat section over here on the right. And what this is doing, because we do tie into your back office, we bring over invoice data. So we're able to look back at the last 12 months of what this customer purchased, and then we summarize it by product. And then after we summarize it, we list it showing you the product the customer bought the most of down to the product the customer bought the least of. So this is just a summary, right? So one line per product for what this customer bought, and it shows things like how many did they buy, how much revenue did it produce, how much gross profit did it produce, how much profit did we make per unit, and in most cases that would be per gallon. So that's a kind of a nice measurement, and we're going to be doing more of that in one of our future releases. You're going to see this more and more in our system because a lot of folks are really liking to do some analysis on that. And then finally, when's the last time this customer ordered that product? So really, really a nice feature. Over here, just to the left of the rolling 12 months is a section for contacts. So those are the people that I deal with at Fairview Manufacturing. So here's information about Jim and Mabel and Melissa and Robert. I could just click on any one of these and open up their contact record if I wanted to. If I wanted to add a contact, it's as simple as hitting this plus sign. I hit the plus sign. It's going to pull up this little screen here in a second. You can put in their name. It knows that they work for Fairview Manufacturing because I started out from that screen. You can put in their email address, mobile phone number. It defaults their main phone to the company's phone number, but you can change that if they have a direct line or whatever. And when you're all done, you can just hit save. I'm not going to do that here, but if you hit save, then one more contact would be added to this list. All right. Also, this question kind of came up, and I'm going to cover it right now. So also on the account screen is an area for opportunity. So one of the questions that was submitted, and I'm actually going to cover the alternative to this. I'm going to start with a lead in a minute, but somebody submitted a question saying, hey, if I have an existing customer and I have a new opportunity to go after some business for them, how do I do that? How do I do that without starting from a lead and going through that whole process? Well, that's all you do is pull up the account, go down here to open opportunities, and hit the little plus sign. And it'll ask you most of the questions that you see on the opportunity screen. Fill in the questions, hit save, and now you just created an opportunity that's in sales stage 1, and you'll just work that thing through the sales process, just like I'm going to do in a minute when I start with a lead. So that's how you create an opportunity for an existing account. And it could be a prospect account or a customer account. It doesn't matter. That's how you would do it. Once an account is set up in CRM, you would never want to start with the lead again. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of duplicates because as some of you know, when you qualify a lead in our system, it's going to create an account, a contact, and an opportunity for you. And we'll see that in a minute. Okay. So I think I kind of covered some of the basics of navigation here. You kind of know how to get here. You know some of the things you can do. One last thing that is easy for people to forget because it's kind of hidden behind our friend here, this navigation bar, is if you wanted to see the detailed transactions on all the invoices or what we call orders that a customer placed, that's kind of buried behind this last little arrow. So remember, I'm in sales, I'm in accounts, I'm looking at Fairview Manufacturing. This last little arrow will show me all the different files that might have data for Fairview Manufacturing. So I could go to order history as an example, and it's going to change the screen now, and it's going to show me all the transactions, think of these as invoice line items, right? It's not a pretty picture of an invoice, but it's invoice data. So I'll just kind of highlight one here. So, and it's in order descending. So the last time they bought from us was back in January. So that's probably not good. This is probably like an invoice number. They bought something in our antifreeze product line. This is the exact product they bought, how much they paid, what our cost was, how many did they buy, how much revenue did it produce, how much gross profit did it produce, and how much did we make per unit on that one transaction, that one line item on an invoice. And I can scroll down to kind of look back at what else they've been buying. I can click on any of these headings to sort it differently if I wanted to. So this is pretty powerful information to have at your fingertips. And remember, I had to hit this last arrow to get to order history. And if I just want to go back, I could probably hit the back button, but in my navigation bar, if I just click on the name, it's just going to take me back to this main account form. All right. So a couple other things I wanted to cover, and we are going to move into leads. So we covered a lot on order history. Some folks are a little bit more graphical than I am. I'm kind of a data freak, but we did take a lot of this order history data and create some charts. And so just below the navigation bar, we added some buttons here that you might find helpful. So here's one that says Show Order History Dashboard. So if I click on that, it's going to take all that order history data and produce some charts based on it. And it might take a while because I've got a lot of test data in there for this account. So by default, it's showing me gross profit information, and it's showing me how am I doing so far this fiscal year compared to the same time period last fiscal year. So these numbers are going to grow throughout your fiscal year. So they start out empty, and then as you progress through the year, these numbers hopefully go up. And then at the end of the year, we just start over. So it's fiscal year to date numbers. Because early in the year, this isn't going to tell you much, this second chart always looks at the most recent 12 months compared to the 12 months before that. So it's a 24-month window, and you just can kind of see if a customer's gross profit is going up or going down. If I wanted to, I could just click on any of these tabs to look at, revenue, which basically is sales, or units. Do I want to look at volume? As I scroll down on this screen, we do break these numbers down just a little bit for you. One of the things that's kind of nice in our system is this concept of product segment. How do you group your products? And then we can take these total numbers that are year to date, and we can say, well, how are they doing based on product segment year to date? Are they buying more? Are we making more or less gross profit on antifreeze, on grease, on heavy duty? So this is all configurable, whatever your product segments are. And then we do the same breakdown for that 12-month comparison. So some really powerful information here right at your fingertips as you're analyzing a customer. All right, one last thing I'll show, and I think there's a little hiccup in this right now. I tried it this morning, but I think I can still communicate kind of the value of this. But one other screen that's kind of nice is the Show 360 main form. And the reason I want to point that out is a lot of you set up your CRM where you have a lot of accounts that have multiple locations, and you set up each of those locations or ship-tos as separate accounts in CRM. So the beauty of that is you can look at all that information separate, right? How's one specific location doing? But if you want, you can hit this button that I hit, and it will add up everything about that parent account and all the ship-tos. And there is an issue right now that Microsoft is working on, but this is supposed to show like a monthly chart of how the volume is doing for this customer as a whole. So all locations. And then it shows all the ship-tos that are involved, all the contacts that are involved, all the opportunities, everything it's like a holistic view of this customer. So all the ship-tos. And as I scroll down, one of the things I just pointed out to somebody on a call this morning because they didn't know this, we also show that rolling 12-month summary, but this would be for the parent and all the ship-tos combined. So again, you can see a quick view of what this customer is doing holistically for the last 12 months. All right, so enough on that. If I want to go back to the main form, there's a button right here that just says, hey, show me the main form. And I'm right back to where I started. Okay, I think enough on navigation. So we covered a lot. Hopefully you learned a lot about the basics with the kind of the navigating with this black bar, with global search, with lists, how you can manage lists, and then especially there's a lot you can do on an account. Just a quick show you, if I navigated to sales and I went to opportunities, I would get a list of my opportunities. So there might be times when you just want to look at your whole pipeline. What does my whole pipeline look like? So that's another great view, another great list that you're going to look at. But if you're looking at an account that has an opportunity, you can get to the opportunity right from there. So I think you'll spend a lot of time looking at opportunities and at your accounts. All right. So let's go back to leads. So I'm going to go to sales, and I'm going to go down to leads. And to save you guys watching me type, I actually created a couple leads, and I'll use one of these in a minute. I'll come back here, but I did want to show you kind of from scratch. I'll kind of talk through it, but then I'm just going to come back and open one up that I already created. So if you wanted to create a new lead, and remember the definition of a lead is it's some business you want to go after, a company you want to try to attract to get as a customer. That's nowhere in CRM. So they're not anywhere. Remember, if they're already there and you want to go after some business, you just create an opportunity. So assuming you checked and they're nowhere in the system, you want to create a lead, you just go to sales and leads and you just hit the new button, which is up here in the upper left-hand corner. And it will pull up a screen where you have to fill in some required fields and some are optional. So any of these fields that have a red asterisk by them, those are required. Some of you might have some of the fields defaulted already. Like mine defaulted to this department field. It defaulted to lubricants. If yours starts out blank, you can enter one of your departments, basically your business units. If you don't know what they are, you can do a lookup to find your list of departments. I'm just going to move over to industry. Basically, you just click in the box and it gives you a list, and I could pick an industry here. Again, I'm not going to actually pick them here. I'm going to just kind of show you some of the entry points, and then I'm going to go in and show you one that I created already. So toward the middle, bottom of the screen, there's things like first name, last name, company name. So hopefully at some point you're going to find out who you're talking to there, and obviously the company name. If you didn't know when you first entered the lead, who you were talking to, you could enter a question mark or something until you figure out who the person is, but you have to fill in something or you're not going to be able to save this. Things like their business phone is required. If you knew the person's email address, if you knew who you were competing with, you could hit this little lookup and find a competitor to pick. As I scroll down a little bit further, lead source. Where did I get this lead? So you should have a list of who to pick from for the lead. I think the only other couple required fields, at a minimum, we need a city and state. And then when you're all done, you can hit save. You can hit save and close. And if you do that, that'll save this information and close out this window and bring you back to your list of leads. Or down here, you can hit the little icon with the little disc, the old disc button, so you can save it down here as well. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to go back to my list of leads by clicking in my navigation bar. It's going to just pull me to leads. See, I just click leads and boom, I'm there. And I'm just going to double click on this one for Jerry's services. Again, I didn't want to bother you watching me sit and type all this in, so I did this just a few minutes ago. So I created a lubricants lead. I said it was a warm lead. I filled in all this information and I saved the record. One of the questions that came up when people registered was, is there a way I can reassign a lead or an opportunity without going through the whole process and closing it out and then having them do it? Yes, there's a very easy way to do that. So I'm just going to answer that now. Every lead and opportunity is assigned to an owner. And if you have the security rights for this, which most of you do, you can just hover over this owner field and do a little lookup. And this lookup would give you a list of all of your users, not the ones in our system. And you could just change the owner to someone else. And that lead, or if this was an opportunity, it would get reassigned to that other person. So it's that simple. And the system also, if your company decided to configure this, and most of you decided yes to do this, optionally you can have the system send an email to the new owner so they know that they now own the lead, or they now know they own the opportunity. So most of you have that feature turned on. So I would be thinking those emails are flying around when you do that. Okay, so there's a lead. So we kind of get the lead process. Two things can really happen with a lead. either you qualify the lead or you disqualify the lead. So you found out that this Jerry Services doesn't buy the products you sell, or they're about to go out of business, or your credit department got wind of you looking at them and said, we don't want to touch them. So you just basically want to get them out of the system. You don't necessarily want to delete them because you want to save this information. So you can hit this disqualify button, and then your company would have set up a list of different reasons why you would disqualify a lead. Once you pick one of those, this lead would kind of drop off your list of leads, and it'd be saved under closed leads or disqualified leads. So we want to hope this is a good lead. So we are going to qualify this lead. And just as a reminder, when you qualify a lead, it takes all of this information. So you want to get this as clean as you can, and it will automatically create a new account for Jerry Services. It's going to create a new contact for Jerry Smith, who works for Jerry Services, and it's going to create an opportunity for you to go after some business, right? That's going to build your pipeline to go after some business at Jerry Services. So 3 things are going to get created, and then this is going to get closed out. It's going to be marked as a qualified opportunity. A qualified lead, and drop off of your open lead list. So to qualify it, sometimes it's tricky because the word qualify seems to be all over the place on this screen. But if you don't remember how to do this, you might want to jot this down. But there's a question on here that says qualify. And that's all you do is change this to yes, and then hit save. That is the recommended, preferred, trained way to do that. Don't try it any other way. Just yes and save. It is that simple. So you don't want to be hitting these buttons over here. You don't want to be hitting save and close. You just yes and save. That's how you qualify a lead. So I did yes, so I'm half done. So now I'm going to hit save, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we have this little message that appeared here. It says, please do not press any keys. Your lead is being qualified. The system is creating an account, contact, and opportunity. I think what I was going to say there is the opportunity will soon display, which lets you know that the process has completed. So that's the last thing it did when we qualified that lead. It created an account, contact, and opportunity, closed out the lead, and then opened up the opportunity record that it just created. So look at my navigation bar. I'm not in leads anymore. It moved me into sales, opportunities, and I'm looking at this opportunity. So now let's spend just a little bit of time on this opportunity. And I'll apologize in advance. As some of you know, a few of our screens, you have a little bit of control as to how to configure them. So as an example, some of you, like me, might have this question, this field called brand, as a required field. Some of you may not. So that's a configurable thing within our system. You could call us up and say, make that required. And then we can put a little red asterisk by that, so to speak, and then all your opportunities are going to have a brand. Okay, so let's just go through this kind of quick with my required fields, and we'll just do a quick update on this opportunity and cover a few other things. So it brought over a lot of information from the lead, but it didn't know really what brand I was pushing. So what am I going to try to sell this guy? Well, I'm gonna push maybe our unbranded line, whatever. But you would just have a list here of possible brands. This is just a list that we have in our little demo world. Opportunity type. You all might have a different drop-down list for these choices. Many of you have the options of either new business or share of wallet. So basically new business is when I'm opening up, going for a new account, a new customer. And share of wallet is when I'm going after business from an existing customer. And here's that owner again. As I scroll down, I have some other fields on here, a description box. I actually had a competitor on my lead, and it brought that over. If I wanted to add another competitor, I could just go to competitor number 2 and pick another competitor, fill in a competitor. I'm not a real big fan of this, and I recommend you cautiously use it or don't use it. But there is a feature to put an opportunity in fallback. So that's somewhere between an open opportunity and a closed opportunity. I don't know what you call it, but we call it fallback. So it's not open, it's not closed as lost, it's just kind of hit in limbo, maybe because it's not moving. But I would just be careful because those kind of fall off your radar, and you want to be able to keep an eye on them. As I scroll down a little bit further, probably the most important section on the opportunity screen is how much is this opportunity worth? And again, some of you might have some of these as required fields, but these we would say these are annual numbers, right? We want to win this business and have them buy from us forever. So some of you maybe only care about volume. So I think this is a 10,000 unit deal. There's another text box for status comments, kind of where are you at with the opportunity. When do I think I'm going to close this opportunity? That's a really important field, and you'd want that date to always be sometime in the future, right? When do I think I'm going to win or lose? When am I going to get a decision so I can move forward with this? So after I make some of these changes, I could hit save, I could hit save and close, and this time I'll come down here and hit the little save button down here, and you'll see that it's kind of saving it. It would tell me if I did anything wrong right here, and now I just saved all that information. So what happens next now is mostly out in the real world, right? You're working this opportunity, and then as you progress, you want the system to kind of know where you are in the process. So that's these sales stages up here. So what I typically say is once you start meeting with the customer, you've moved from this qualify stage, which it's in right now, over to needs and solutions, right? You're talking to the customer, finding out their needs, hopefully going to put together some type of proposal with their solutions. So basically to advance the sales stage, for every stage, there's one question. So have I started meeting with the customer? Have I made or had that first appointment, whether it be on a phone call or whether it be in person? You answer that question and you go way over here and you hit next stage. And now you've moved that opportunity from the qualify stage to needs and solutions. There's a little pin right here, a little flag, and also we show you, down here as well. If you ever had to go back a stage, you can just hit the back button. It'll move this little flag back a stage, right? Maybe you get so far in this deal and then whoever you're dealing with, moves in the organization or quits and then you've got to start over. But once I have a quote ready, whether I do that within CRM or outside of CRM, answer that question, hit next stage. Now I'm moving over to the presentation stage, right? Hopefully that goes well and they accept the proposal. If they decide no, they don't want to do business with you, there's a button up here that says close as lost. If I close this as lost, it's going to ask me, why did I lose this opportunity? So you pick a reason. You can enter a competitor if you want, who you lost it to, put in a little description if you want, and when you hit OK, which I'm not going to, but when you hit OK, this opportunity would drop off my pipeline. I might want to make a reminder for myself using an activity, which we didn't cover today. That's not in today's training, but you could create an activity for maybe a year from now to try again. That might be a great technique, a way to use CRM. Look, I lost this opportunity because of, the guy didn't like me. Well, I'm going to try again. Maybe he doesn't work there a year from now. All right, let's hope things go well. So then they accept their proposal. So I'm going to say next stage. And all along while you're doing this, you're not just advancing the stage as you learn more. Again, you're probably producing a quote, whether that be in CRM or outside of CRM, but you're probably updating this data here. The more you learn, the more you know this is a smaller deal or a bigger deal, maybe the estimated close date. I'm really not going to close this for a month, whatever. So you always want to keep this fresh. All right, so just because they said yes doesn't necessarily mean it's a one opportunity. So we move it over to what we call activate and transition. So you're now in a really important stage. You're in stage 4. The customer said yes. Most of you have told me that to actually win the opportunity, the customer has to place the first order, or you maybe have to deliver the first order. And then at that point, you would go in and say, hey, I won that opportunity. So where it says close is won, you just change that from no to yes. And as soon as you click that to yes, it basically comes up with this screen, which is the win opportunity screen. And you've got a couple fields to answer. You can update your estimates. And when you hit OK, which I'm not going to do, this opportunity would drop off your pipeline and it would be coded as a one opportunity. And then you would just just treat this as an existing customer that you probably check in on periodically, and move on to other opportunities. One last thing to point out on this process, and I'm going to it looks like one of the required fields here showed up when I was advancing the sales stage, so I'm just going to quick pick one so I can save this. One thing that I wanted to point out, just to prove to you that when I did create this, qualify this lead, this customer, Jerry's service, was created. And if I click on the name here, it will take me right off of this opportunity. And you'll see the navigation bar change. It'll take me right to that account, which was not in CRM a half an hour ago. So I'm in sales, I'm in accounts, and now I'm looking at Jerry's services, which does not have an account number. It's a prospect account, and hardly any of the fields are locked because this is not tied into your accounting system. You can do whatever you want with this. Obviously, there's not going to be any order history, right? So no rolling 12 months here, but there's the contact for Jerry. And then the one bit of process I wanted to just point out is when your accounting team does set up the account back in your back office, your accounting system, they typically then will flip over to CRM and they'll find that you've been working Jerry services as a prospect, and then they'll just fill in the account number. And then CRM can start talking to your accounting system because now we know the link. The link is this account number. All right. So I'm just going to kind of cover my agenda here. We covered, I'm looking through my little cheat notes here. We covered navigation. We covered the navigation bar. We did a lot of navigation on the account screen. We created a lead and we qualified and disqualified a lead. We talked about reassigning a lead. We spent a lot of time on the opportunity, and we talked about creating an opportunity from an existing account. So that's really a pretty, it's a little bit more in depth than I thought I was going to get, but that's a lot of what's involved with leads, opportunities, and navigation. So I think you all have a really good jump start for you newbies on, getting your hands wet, getting your hands dirty, and getting in the system. It's really hard to break stuff. So I don't think there's much damage you can do. I would say the other common thing I hear quite a bit in some training that I do is about deleting stuff. How do I delete stuff? And you hardly ever delete stuff in CRM. I mean, there are exceptions, but you noticed on the lead, we didn't delete the lead if it was a bad lead. We disqualified it. If we lost an opportunity, we didn't delete it. We closed it as lost. So if you're ever thinking you want to delete something, think twice. Again, there are places that make sense, but in most cases, there's buttons to hit to just kind of get it off your list, but keep the data there. Okay, I am going to see if I can flip back to my PowerPoint. All right, so we did our training. What else was on our agenda? Oh, our roadmap. So what do we have going on? So there's an announcement coming soon. We've got what we're calling like a deprecation project. So not really exciting for us, not really exciting for you, but periodically Microsoft says there's certain coding techniques that they don't support anymore. And so what we get to do, right, is look through all the code in all of our systems and upgrade it to supported code. So we've been doing that over the last couple months. And we're testing that now, and probably in a few weeks, you're probably going to get invited to another user group webinar to kind of go through that announcement in a little bit more detail, because we did include a few small enhancements. So there is something in it for you. There's something in it that makes the system a little bit more exciting, a few new features we added, some new alerts, some new reports. So we're going to cover that in the next user group webinar. So you're going to want to attend that, and then really keep an eye out for the email on that, because I'll send out an email kind of bulleting all the new stuff that you'll get with the next release. All right. Then later this year, as I mentioned earlier, this profit per unit analysis seems to be popular. So we're adding that to a lot more reports. Going to allow for some trending and some analysis on that. So it's interesting, I've heard so many times, like, we care about volume, we care about gross profit, but putting those two together to see how much are you making per gallon. Are you making more or less per gallon? Seeing some trending in that might help you do some analysis and make better decisions. Then much later this year, we're going to start working on a really cool feature I'm excited about to allow you to set up and create KPIs. So we're going to try to make this as flexible as possible, where you could maybe set a KPI. A manager might set a KPI for me. Steve, I want you to create 200 opportunities this year. And Steve, I want you to win 200 opportunities this year. So you could be KPIs for an individual. You could set up possibly KPIs for a department, right? And so you're kind of analyzing your department. I want, 1,000 opportunities created for the lubricants department this year. And then as a manager, you can kind of keep an eye on the KPI that you set for the team. So, and now think of that throughout the system, right? We can have KPIs for gross profit numbers, volume numbers, activity counts, on and on and on. So we're trying to make that flexible within reason. But I'm really excited about that. I think that's not only going to help you with measuring, I think that's going to help with user adoption, right? Now you can agree on what's important, and then let's all work toward that. And then you have a tool to help you measure that. So super cool stuff coming later this year. And then maybe by the end of the year, but it seems to be moving so quickly, the calendar, that it's probably going to be early 2020. We are going to try to give you the ability to schedule reports. So some of you are really loving some of the reports you can generate from Dashboard 97. And you said, geez, I always run this report for, year-to-date information on, every Monday or the first week of the month. Can't I just schedule this so I just get it, the first of every month or the fifth of every month or the first of every quarter or whatever? So we are going to do some serious design and development on that, and hopefully you'll appreciate that. So that's what's coming. And along with all of these biggies, we always try to sneak in some of the smaller ones, right? Somebody might ask for a new report, or maybe there's we want to add a field to this screen or whatever. I mean, we try to sneak in some of the little ones so they don't just sit there because they don't have a lot of meat. But we always try to incorporate them. All right, so questions. These questions I covered in the meeting, but I did document in here. Somebody asked if there was a way to transfer a lead or an opportunity to another salesperson versus having to, close it as a win or loss. I didn't know exactly what that last part meant, but I showed you how you could do that, right? You just change the owner. I think it was also on that screen there was a reassign button. I just find it easier to just click on the owner and just change it, but you can hit the reassign button. It basically does the same thing. And then the other question was, how do I add an opportunity to an existing account? And I showed you that as well. You're on the account screen. You scroll down to the opportunity section, hit the little plus sign, fill in the answers, hit save, and boom, you just created a new opportunity. All right. If any of you have any other questions, it's kind of cool when I get them, when people register for the webinar. Some of those you don't really need to, I guess I would say you don't really need to wait for this meeting, right? We meet every couple months if the calendars line up perfectly for me and everybody else on our end. So if you have just questions, call our support desk. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. So, if it's not urgent or the question just popped into your head when you're about to register, that's fine. That's fine. But don't think you have to wait, right? We're here to help you guys. So I say call our support line, but I also know that most of you have like a power user within your organization. Many times the questions aren't so much like, how do I do this? It's more like, when should I do this or whatever. And it ends up being more like a business call, a business decision. So I tend to tell people, start with somebody within your organization. Find that power user, go to your boss and see if they know. And if collectively you don't know the answer, give us a call. All right, some of the biggest challenges. So I summarized this. It was interesting, and maybe it's because the topic of the day, or maybe we just got lucky, but by a long shot, I bet you I saw, 50, 60% of the folks who replied, their biggest challenge was somehow worded as navigation, I need training, I'm new, I'm just started, I need a refresher. I mean, wow, I was just like shocked. And again, it could have been the topic, right? That just triggered that thought. Yep, that's my challenge. So I pointed out the videos. Um, you can also reach out to your manager to say, how can I learn more? You can also reach out. Hopefully, you can find that power user. And if all else fails, right, we have these user group webinars that we do, and we cover different topics. But I'll tell you what, probably in the last year, I would say probably 5 or 6 of our customers have reached out to Gene and said, Gene, what would it cost to get 4 or 6 or 8 hours of training, let's say Steve's time, via a webinar, maybe with 2 2-hour sessions or 3 2-hour sessions with a couple different groups in our organization to do more of a, one-on-one, if you will, to a company's training. And every one of those, when we got done, they were just so glad they did it, because they, got this really cool tool, and you're just not reaping the benefits of it because you just don't know. So that's just another option. Any way works for us, but I mean, this problem can be solved. All you people who had biggest challenges of I need to learn this system, we can fix that, right? So if you can't get it fixed, keep pushing, and let's get some training scheduled. The other topic that was kind of a distant second. Now I was kind of glad to see it showed up. Maybe 20% of the replies. User adoption. We've done 2 user group meetings on user adoption in the last 7-8 months. One of them we actually recorded and we saved in CRM. So there's this video is in CRM. We recently added a document in the document section, a user adoption guide. So those are more tools for you to help with user adoption. So watch the video, review that user guide to see if there's some things in there you missed, because you should really follow that user guide, and hopefully user adoption will improve. User adoption isn't easy. I mean, all of you on this call, right, are trying, right? It's probably the folks who aren't on the call, right? So I'm probably talking to the wrong folks here. So whatever you can do to help spread the word and help with user adoption, that would be great. Reports, probably like, maybe 5 or 10% of you mentioned reports again. There are a lot of resources in CRM. We also did a big training on this in the December user group meeting, and we kept that recording and we saved it right in CRM. So that video is in CRM. And then there was a handful of items that were only listed once. And again, some of those biggest challenges were almost questions or issues. Just if you're still having those, feel free to, again, go to your power user, go to your manager, call our support line. We'd be glad to help. Okay. I think I'm going to take a drink and turn it over to Jean. Jean, have at it.
All right. Thank you, Steve. I know that was a lot of information to take in. So I do encourage you to visit that video and document section within your CRM, as well as taking time to visit our oil and gas page on our website for additional resources, which include short targeted videos on specific features of the CRM for oil and gas product. We have several ebooks available, such as the 12 ways lubricant marketers use CRM to drive success and the top 8 benefits of the CRM for oil and gas solution. Plus, do not forget to check out the LedgeView Partners blog with content that is specifically created for lubricant marketers like you. And again, as a reminder, today's webinar, of course, was recorded, so be sure to keep an eye out in your email inbox for the on-demand version. All right, so now, do you know any lubricant or fuel marketers in need of a new CRM solution? With LedgeView's CRM for oil and gas referral program, if you create an introduction with a potential customer and they sign on and implement the CRM for oil and gas solution, your company will receive a $1,000 credit to your account, so you can look like a hero to your company, as well as the individual who created that introduction will receive a $25 Amazon gift card as a thank you for your time. So please reach out to me directly to discuss those referrals. And finally, please do not hesitate to reach out to us directly if you have any additional questions or comments or feedback regarding the CRM for oil and gas product or any of our business and technology consulting services, which again includes sales, customer service, and marketing. Thank you for your time today. And again, please feel free to share this with others in your organization and network. Have a great day.